guys, welcome back to the VDC space. Today we're going to be doing three types of base plates. We're going to cover steel connections. Today we're going to do three types of base plates. The first one is going to be base plates for inner bolts. The second one is going to be for the outer bolts, and the third one is going to be for steel stiffeners. Now before I get started, I would like to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you already subscribed, hit the notification button as I upload BIM modeling tutorials and Revit tutorials 3 times every week. I cover different topics from wastewater to roads and networks, bridges, buildings, architecture, structural, and so on, civil structures, and so on and so forth. Now, without further ado, let's jump into Revit. So here we are. I'm using Revit 2024 for this task. So the first thing is I'm going to open up a new structural template. And then I'm going to set up my grid. So I'm going to set up my grid that runs across like this, a horizontal grid. And then I'm going to place 3 vertical grids like this. And then I'm going to offset them by 5,000 millimeters. Perfect. So I'm just going to rename these grids. So this one, I'm going to make it A. This one, I'm going to make it B. And then this one, I'm going to make it C. So this one, I'm going to leave it as S1. So the next thing is I'm going to go to structure and say isolated, and then I'm going to place my base. So to change its orientation, I'm going to press my space bar and then place it where the grids intersect. And then I'm going to select one and say right click, select all instances visible in view, and go to edit type, duplicate, and then I'm going to rename this to 1200 by 1200 by 450 millimeters. And then I'm going to say OK, and then change the length to 1200 millimeters. Perfect. And now, as you can see, we are on level 2. So I'm going to go to level 1 and then just go back to level 2, control select all this and then set it to level 1. Close down level 2 and then go to level 1. So this is what we have. And then I'm going to generate my steel column. So I'm going to go to column and then drop down. And as you can see, this is what we have. So under universal beams, I'm going to select 457 by 152 by 52. And then I'm going to set up my constraints and make sure you set this from depth to height and then set it to level 2. And then make sure the placement is set to vertical column instead of slanted column. And then I'm going to place it where the grids intersect on top of our base. While we at it, I'm going to say control select all my beams, and then I'm going to press space bar to change its orientation. So I want them to become like this. So just open up your 3D view and then change your level of detail to fine and then to shaded, and this is what we have. Now it's time to apply our base plate. So I'm going to start with the first one. So the first one is going to be a steel connection base plate for inner bolts. And then for that, I'm going to go to steel, and then under steel, I'm going to go to connection. As you can see under connection, there's this arrow that's pointing diagonally downwards. I'm going to press on it, and this is where we have our content for our connections. Now for our base plates, I only need sort of like 3 of these, actually 4 of them. So I'm going to select one, this one base plate, and then I'm going to say shift on my keyboard and then select the last one, base plate with traverse welded. And then I'm going to say add to load them into our connection library and say OK. And now it's time to add our connections to this. So I'm going to click structural connection. And then as you can see, this is what we have. I'm just going to press on my workspace and then drag my mouse until my steel column and my concrete base are selected. And then under our properties, I'm going to drop down and then select the base plate and press enter. And then our base plate is automatically generated. But of course, I want to modify this base plate so that it may be in conform with our inner bolt constraint. So I'm going to select my base plate and go to edit type and then I'm gonna say duplicate, and then I'm gonna rename this base to base plate 1, and then dash inner bolt, and then I'm going to say OK. And then under construction modify parameters, I'm going to go to edit, and as you can see on our left side, we have our preview of what our base plate will look like. So yeah, this is where we modify our parameters and all that. So we're just going to keep it as basic as we can. The only thing we're going to modify is our projections, our intermediate distance, our parallel flange, and our bolt sizes. So we're going to start with our base plate, and this is what we have on our base plate parameter interface. So I'm going to go to base plate dimensions, and as you can see, we have projection 1. Projection 1, you can see it also graphically on your right hand side, which Autodesk, they managed to demonstrate it on what you have, so it makes it easier for you guys to modify your base plate. So we're gonna only use projection 1 because I want our base plate to be symmetrical. So I'm just gonna adjust it from 250 and make it 300. So as you can see, projection 1, it starts from the center of your web to the outside of your steel plate. So I'm just going to make it 300, and then after that I'm going to go down and go to anchors parallel to web. So what this means is we have our web, we have our flange. So your anchors, which are sort of like your bolts and your nuts and all that, it means that it's parallel to your web, and also it's parallel to your flange. So your anchors parallel to your web, it means you're going to adjust the distance from this center line and the center of your bolt. So I'm going to select anchors parallel to your web, and then I'm going to make the intermediate distance 125. And then I'm going to go to anchors parallel flange, which means your anchors are going to be you're adjusting the distance between the center of your anchor and the center of your flange. So I'm going to say the intermediate distance, I'm going to set it to 200 millimeters. So this is what we have. Now we have our inner bolts, and then I'm going to say OK, and then just go back to edit. Let's see, when we go to anchor and holes, yeah, so on your anchor diameter, this is where you adjust the size of your bolts. So I'm just going to make it 24 millimeters, and then I'm going to say OK. So this thing is a parametric in such a sense that when you modify one aspect of your base plate, the other properties are also adjusted automatically. So you're going to say apply and then OK. So when you go to a 3D view, this is what you have. And the next one is we're going to work with outer bolts. So for this one, we're going to apply the same principle, except our parameters are going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to go to connections again, and then I'm going to select my steel column and my concrete base, and then make sure your properties are set to base plate, and then press enter. And then it's going to apply it automatically. Select your base plate, and then go to edit type, and then you're going to say duplicate, and then this is your base plate 2, and then you're going to say dash, and then you're going to say outer bolts. So you're going to say OK, and then under construction modify parameters, you're going to say edit, and then this is what we have. And then you're just going to go to base plate dimensions, and then set your projection 1 to 400 millimeters, and then go to anchors parallel to web. You're going to set your intermediate distance to 350 millimeters, and then your anchors parallel to flange, you're going to set your intermediate distance to 600 millimeters. Now it's going to be on the outside. So you're going to say OK, and then actually go back, go to edit again, and then go to anchors and anchor and holes, and then set your anchor diameter to 36 millimeter this time. So you're gonna say OK, and then apply, and then OK. So this is what we have. Now the third one, it's gonna be a little bit tricky because we're gonna apply the steel stiffeners to it. So, but it's the same principle. So you're gonna go to connections again and then select your steel beam and your concrete base. Make sure your properties are set to base plate, and then you're gonna press enter. And now you're gonna select your base plate, go to edit type, and then duplicate, and then you're gonna set this one to base plate 3 dash stiffness. And then you're going to say OK. And then under construction modify parameters, you're going to say edit. And then you're going to first, you're going to go to base plate dimensions and then set your projection to 500 millimeters. And then you're going to go to anchor and holes. And then your anchor diameter, you're going to set it to 36 millimeters this time. And then you're going to go to anchor parallel to web. You're going to set your intermediate distance to 400 millimeters. And then go to anchor parallel flange. Intermediate distance, you're going to set it to 600 millimeters. Perfect. And now for the stiffeners, you're going to go to, you're going to drop down the stiffeners and plates. And then this is what you have for your stiffeners. So for your stiffeners, the only thing we're gonna modify just to keep it as basic as you can is our web stiffeners, which are gonna be set on the side. So let me explain this. We have our web stiffeners, which are sort of like in line with the web, and our flange stiffeners, which are basically in line with our flange. As you can see, it's represented graphically on our right hand side. So we're just going to go with the web stiffeners, which are going to be based this side and also this side as demonstrated here. So you're going to go to web, and then on create stiffeners, you're going to say on both sides. And as you can see, your parameters are no longer grayed out, so that you can modify them. So your stiffener thickness, I think it's fine at 6 millimeters. Your stiffener width, you're gonna set it to 175 millimeters, and then your stiffener height, you're gonna set it to 150 millimeters. And then make sure your corner finish inside is set to none, just to keep it rectangular. And then we're going to add a chamfer to this, because most of the stiffeners are sort of like they have chamfers on their base plates for the base plates. And then just make sure the outside chamfer height, which is like, if you guys can see on this representation, the chamfer height is a distance from this point to this point, and the chamfer width is the distance from this point horizontally to this point. So for the outside chamfer height, we're gonna set it to 150, and then our outside chamfer width, we're gonna set it to 175. Actually, I made a mistake on the stiffener width and height. So the stiffener width, we actually gonna make it 275, and then the stiffener height, we're going to make it 250 millimeters. Perfect. Now for the wall thickness, I think it's fine at 6 millimeters, and then it's set to double fillet weld, so I think that's fine. And then we're going to say OK, and then we're going to say apply, and then OK. So this is what we have. So we have our three types of base plates. So the last thing is I just want to apply rebar to our bases. So you're going to go to level 1 and just set this to fine, just to see everything. And then you're going to go to open up your section and then place your section on this grid 1 like this. And then open up your double click just to open up your section. Set your level of detail to fine, just to see your steel components. And then you're going to apply your rebar. Just go to structure and then apply your cover first. Select your base and then set your base to 30 millimeter cover. You can just go with any 30 millimeter cover and press enter. Perfect. And now go to rebar and say OK. And then this is what you have. So you're going to drop down under your rebar sheet browser, and then you're going to go with number 21 option and make sure that it's 12 millimeter uh, uh, in diameter. So you're just gonna place it like this. Make sure your placement plane is set to current work plane, and then your placement orientation is set to parallel to work plane. And now you're gonna place it like this, and then select it, open up your 3D view, and then while it's still selected, under your rebar set, your layout, you're gonna set it from single to maximum spacing, and then set your spacing to 150 millimeters. While they're still selected, you're gonna go under your properties, and under graphics, you're gonna click this option, which is view visibility. You're gonna say edit, and then as you can see, we have your 3D view types, view name, view unobscured. View unobscured basically is to show your rebar on any plan or view that you have opened up. So we open up our 3D view, we're gonna check view unobscured on our 3D view so that we can see our rebar there. So you're gonna say okay. And now you can see your rebar without using the wireframe visual style. So the next thing is I'm gonna go to level 1 again, and then select my section, and then place my section right in the middle across like this. Just to reduce my view range, I'm going to open up this view section, and then I'm going to go to my rebar again, and then the same one, number 21, which is 12 millimeter in diameter. I'm going to place it like this, but as you can see, they are clashing, so I'm just going to drag it upwards, and then I'm going to press AL for align, and then if I hover over the top of my the rebar set I placed first, as you can see, there's this blue line as my reference. I'm going to press on it and then press the bottom of my second set of rebars. I'm going to apply the same principle. I'm going to select it this side, just drag it randomly to the left, and then press AL for alignment, and then I'm going to select my rebar, my first set of rebar on this side, and then attach it like this. So I'm going to do the same thing this side, then press AL, then so I'm gonna select my rebar, my second set of rebar, go to 3D view, and then my layout, I'm gonna set it to maximum spacing, and then set the spacing to 150 millimeters. While it's still selected, I'm gonna go to graphics, view visibility, edit, and then under 3D, I'm gonna say view unobscured and say okay. So this is what we have. And now I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna click everything, go to filter, check none, and then I'm gonna only check structural rebar, and then go to level 1, and then I'm gonna say copy, and then I'm gonna copy it from the other two bases because they are very much redundant. So as you can see, this is what we have. At least our bolts are not clashing with our rebar, and yeah, so this is the basis of how you can generate the base plates on your Revit project. So I just this was a very much short tutorial. So thank you guys if you stuck until the end. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next tutorial. Have a nice day, have a great night, and please keep on learning more, keep on exchanging knowledge, and I'll see you guys on the next tutorial. Peace.